Vale, bueno chicos, ahora va a subir Jupiter con nosotros. Ha participado en muchas jams, ha sido mentora, será vuestra mentora, así que bebed todo lo que dice. Y nada, espero que disfrutéis de su charla.
Okay. Cool. That's not mine. I can't read it because it's in Spanish. So I don't know. That's it, yeah. Cool. Cool. All right. Hi, I'm Jupiter, and I speak English, so I have no idea what anyone else talked about or what they've been saying. Which is wonderful. This is the second time I've been to Spain, the second time I've gone to a conference that's been completely in Spanish, and I've just nodded along. So I'm going to be giving my talk in English is basically what I'm saying, so I hope you don't mind. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and then I'm going to talk about game jams and the Ludum Dare and how to make the best of the Ludum Dare, or Dare, however you say it, I don't really know. But yeah, it's according to me and the internet, because they help out quite a bit. So first, who am I? Why am I here talking? My name is Jupiter Hadley. I do lots of stuff. I'm a YouTuber of many, many indie games for both Android, Xbox, and PC. I've played around 30,000 now Game Jam games on YouTube, and sort of documenting all of them from almost every Game Jam that's happened. I write for loads of websites, PC Gamer, Rock, Paper, Shotgun. I co-own a website called Big Boss Battle, just about indie games and reviews and stuff. I created this thing, which is an online calendar of all of the game jams happening at any given point. There's tons, and I cover most of the game jams that are there. I work for a publishing company called Armor Games, where I am the apprentice games wizard because I work in video games and they have weird made-up titles. I also run events in London, and I travel to various events to give talks. That's basically me. So it's time for Ludum Dare. It's a huge game jam that happens like 3 or 4 times a year. I've not actually been to a physical location before, but the Ludum Dare is a bit complicated. It's a 2-part, as what was explained earlier, jam and compo. So you can do it with friends, or you can make it from scratch, or you can follow the theme. A lot of people don't follow the theme. You cannot. There's like source code that you have to put into submit along with your game if you pick one version of it. There's just lots and lots of restrictions on the Ludum Dare. And if you like this sort of jam, there's more of them out there, and if this sort of, I'm just telling you, there are other game jams, a lot of them, and some of them are longer with less restrictions, and some of them require teams, and some of them just work a bit differently. They have, instead of themes, mechanics, or diversifiers, or different themes per team that join, or prizes. So if this game jam isn't for you, I would also encourage checking out other game jams. Or if this one is, and you want to do more of them, also check out other game jams. I just like game jam games. I like them being a bit rough and unpolished. But yeah, why you're doing a game jam. There's so many different reasons to take part in a game jam. You can just do it to have fun, to just spend a weekend creating something that you might like, or that you might not finish, and it's just a learning experience, and you've learned all of these new tools and new processes. You might be challenging yourself. Game jams are a challenge. You have a set time and a theme to make a game. It's a big task to take on. You could be doing it to just make friends and meet other developers, or you could be doing it to, make a finished product if you get that far and have something polished and released because there's a deadline. There's so many different ways that you can take part in a game jam, that you can find a use for it and find a goal while doing it. So you guys have a little bit so they don't update rules. If you are looking for teams, find your team, form together, and get to know each other a little bit. So anything, and just writing that you have food and water, or know where food and water is, so you don't die. You don't need to crunch while you're doing this game jam. It's not worth it. So make sure you do take care of yourself, and also know how to upload your game to the website. Because at the end of the time, when you're scrambling to fix whatever bug just happened, as the timer ticks down, you're not going to have time to figure out the website. And I would also suggest uploading it to somewhere that isn't Dropbox, like itch or GameJolt, or literally anywhere, because I would like to play your games. And if they're on Dropbox, more often than not, developers seem to just delete their stuff from Dropbox occasionally, and I'll never actually get to link back to it or play it again. So uploading it somewhere where it can stay is really nice, and just knowing that process and being familiar with that. From a starting point, plan your ideas out on paper. Just plan out what you're gonna do before you start, so that you don't start and then are unsure where you're going with stuff. Make sure that you have just milestones or just some goals. They don't have to be too strict. The first few ideas you have with the theme when it's announced, get rid of them. They're what literally everyone else is thinking. It's the reason you end up with 40 games that are all exactly the same. It's the first idea you get when you think of the theme, and it just makes for more variety if you go down your list and end up picking a lower theme idea that came to you after actually thinking it over. Build your title screen and your end screen at the start, because you're not going to have time once you get into stuff, once you get into building the core mechanic and building out too much. You're not going to have time to design your start screen. You're not going to have time to design your end screen, and that's important to make your game feel polished. The amount of polish just having a title screen and an end screen brings in a game jam is unbelievable. So make sure that you spend some time doing that. Think about your sound effects early on, because sound makes your game feel really polished, and you don't really have to spend that much time working on sound as long as you think about it ahead and just post your progress and engage with the community, because that's always good to do, and more people will play your game at the end of it. So another big thing when it comes to game jams is scope. And stuff's gonna break, and you don't have time. So whatever you're doing, you need to do a small version of it. Cut whatever time or whatever idea you have in half and in half and in half, and bring it down to the core mechanic. Get that core mechanic working within the first day, and make sure that it's fun and enjoyable, and then start building around it. If you have a core mechanic that works, your game's going to be finished in the end. If you don't work on a core mechanic and it's not ever actually finished, your game isn't going to be playable. It's not going to be fun. So make sure you don't have this huge idea in your head of what you want to make. Start out with the simplest thing, build it, and then build something more complex around it with the time that you have left. These are a load of developers, what they had to say about scope. So yeah, scope's a big one when it comes to Ludum Dare, because so many people push it out afterwards. You probably can. There's been so many successful Ludum Dare games, but it's based on the core mechanic that they made in the time limit. Yeah, so take breaks. Don't just try to code for 48 hours straight, or try to make art for 48 hours straight, or do whatever you do for 48 hours straight. It's too long. Eat, sleep, seriously sleep, walk away from things, also sleep. It's important. If you're stuck on something simple, take a break. So go with your instinct and don't overthink things. That's pretty important, because overthinking things within 48 hours isn't possible. You'll end up with a non-finished product. Don't be afraid of fucking up and not finishing. It's all about what you learn. I sure bailed midway on my first game jam. So Elian works on big games now, like Rival of Ether, and his first 10 game jams he just didn't finish because he overscoped and just couldn't do it. He now does game jams almost constantly and makes some really brilliant things, but he didn't finish his first few. Lots of people don't finish their first few. I didn't finish my first game jam back when I did make games. Sometimes you don't, but you learn a lot along the way. Along those lines, a single level with a fun mechanic is better than 50 levels with a dull one. Yep, that's true. Don't try to focus on making a big amount of game to play. If you have something that's good and polished and small, it's going to be fun. It's going to be what people enjoy playing. And just make what you think is cool. Don't worry about being original as a hobby. And that's a good point. If you do like what you're doing, you can continue it in your spare time. You can make a full game out of it, and you can enjoy it. Again, people fuck up and don't finish in the experience. Only a few people end up in the top whatever of each category on Ludum Dare. It's fine. Nothing special happens if you end up on the top. Just more people have seen your game. But I'm sure if you make something that you love, and then if you continue it, more people will see it anyway. So after the game jam, after you're done, and you've rested, and you are nearly at the end of your line, again, upload your game to Itra Game Jolt so I can play it. I really like playing them. Please actually upload them somewhere where I can play them later. That's something that you need to do. You need to rate and comment on other games. I don't know if this has been touched upon, because I don't speak Spanish, but Ludum Dare has this weird rating system that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But part of it is karma for feedbacks and ratings given. So you need to like rate other people's games so that they can then rate your game so that you can then get a score. So it's scored based on people getting like 20 ratings. So if you don't get 20 ratings, like this person didn't, you don't actually get a score in the end on the high score sheets. So if that's something you want, if you want feedback in the score, you have to engage with the community. You have to go and leave comments. You have to go and talk about why other games were good. You have to engage. And doing that is an important part of being a part of this community, an important part of being a part of the Ludum Dare. So do take the time to, you know, actually play other people's games. Make GIFs of your game because that's cool and does well on Twitter. So if you make GIFs during the prompt, GIFs of your finished game, so, not that it's very well advertised, but Ludum Dare has this little thread that'll pop up around the second day when everyone's busy coding, and me and Larry the Chupacabra and the Button Masher Bros and a bunch of, if you enter your game into this form, we play them on YouTube or on Twitch or I write about them, so you might want to do that if you want more people to see your game. I think it's really cool, but I'm a bit biased because I'm one of the YouTubers. But it's just good to, I don't know, give me your game. I just want your game. That's what that is. Don't compare yourself to others. There are going to be people who have been doing Ludum Dare for like 50 years or something, and they can make games like so fast, and they're really good at it. And that's fine. It's great that there are people in there that can make such polished, well-made games. Not everyone can, and if your game doesn't look to you as polished and as well-made as theirs, that's okay. You don't need to compare yourself to other people because you're you, and I'm sure you're doing great. HTML games get more views. That's just a tidbit I'm going to say. If you have a downloaded version of your game, that's fine, but HTML games will get you more plays and more ratings, so you'll get a rating. Add a description to your games page, preferably with the controls, so that people know how to play your game. This is, again, they're bashing all of my keys before realizing, oh, you need a controller. Do I know a good tool for making GIFs of your game? Right, so I use Honeycam, which is a form of Bandicam. It's like a tool under Bandicam, which is a premium thing. If you really need a GIF of your game made, poke me on Twitter. I'll make you tons of GIFs, because I can make GIFs very fast, and I am fine with that. And I can email them to you, so that's fine. Just email me, really. No worries. Anything else? Yeah. How important is the themes? Or is the theme point, and it's something that you should look at. At the end of the day, you're making the game. And it is just start making a game. I'm sure it'll be fine. Shoehorn the theme in. Plenty of people do. Cool. Yeah. That's a good point. If you're doing the jam and you use pre-made apps, by the way, I've got to credit people, but second of all, opt out of the compo and into the jam, because that's the rules.
Vale, bueno chicos, estamos esperando a que llegue